Hello, and welcome back to the podcast that must not be named. I am Luke.
I'm Melissa.
And we are here doing our dog jingles and our full book, full group, family extravaganza spectacular for Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. So we've made it all the way through book 4. Oh, good times, a lot of fun. And these episodes are always really fun and special for me, Melissa. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yes, I agree. They are special.
Good
it
answer.
Is a special episode with a special group of people. But there are some people that I want to shout out first before we talk about our group.
Absolutely. Go for it.
I want to start by sending a giant thank you out to our Patreon Legion. We have recently updated our reward tiers, and I would like to do a shout out to some of those patrons who are part of our Imaginary Legion. To start, our Praetorian Guard, the High Command of the Legion, Bailey and Sydney.
Woo! Yeah!
Thank you. We also have our Legatus level, the Senatorial Officers of the Legion. We have 3 of those. That would be Jason, Stephanie from work, and Armando. So thank you very much for being part of our Legion.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a lot of fun redoing the Patreon things. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited for everything we have coming up. And to learn more about that, this show and all of our shows at thepodcast.com are produced with the love and support of our wonderful Imaginary Legion patrons. You can learn more about how you can also support us with our new 2.0 reward tiers at patreon.com/stayimaginary. Check that out. Melissa has done a ton of work. Abby has done a ton of work. I have not done a ton of work on getting this all updated, and there's a lot of really exciting things that we have coming up every month, every 6 months, every 3 months. So check it out. Check through the tiers, and I'm excited to do some of these deliverables for sure. So, Melissa, do you want to give a quick intro to who we have here joining us?
I do. So we're going to run down the highly qualified team we have assembled here today. We're going to start with, so Luke and I are here with, first of all, Riley, our first-time reader. Hello, Riley.
Hey, what's going on? Glad to be back.
Okay. And we also have Abby, our Quidditch correspondent.
Hey.
And Triwizard Tournament correspondent for this whole book as well.
This is true. We're also here with Benji, our private eye detective / summary writer. Thank goodness.
Cheers. How are you guys doing?
Great. Thank you for all the summaries.
Yes, thank you for all the summaries. It's like the best thing ever. And also, last but not least, is our target audience perspective, Lorelei.
Hi.
I love the enthusiasm. I am so excited. Well, I hope this chat helps you feel better, because we made it through book 4. A lot of exciting stuff happened in this book. I don't know. We'll get into all of our thoughts on the different parts and pieces that went into it, but this is a really, really good book. And let's go ahead and kick off into the cover illustration chat. So every book has a cover on it, and this one is no exception to that rule. So Melissa, would you give us a quick description, because you have the full hardcover jacket pulled off, so even the paperbacks don't necessarily have all of the same information. They just have the front cover the same.
All right, so on the front cover, I see Harry holding a glowing egg with his wand. There are 3 other people on the front who I assume are Victor, Fleur, and Cedric. Mm-hmm. In the background, there is also the eyes of a big giant dog, who I assume is Padfoot. I see a Dementor, as well as a spiky tail, one would assume, of a dragon. And as I follow that spiky tail along to the back, I see it is actually attached to a body with a wing. There is a cup that has glowing blue fire. There is a blue flying carriage with some flying Pegasus horses type beings, and something that looks like a giant ant with antenna hanging up there, and a teeny tiny beetle on one of the spikes of the dragon tail type thing.
It looks like also on the front cover, right in front of Crumb's chin, might be some spider legs?
Spidery things going on?
Maybe. or wings. Abby, how about your cover?
Well, I have a question about your cover.
Yes.
Hang on.
Yeah, go for it.
No, go right ahead. Keep talking. I'm just doing something to help out a little bit
Hey.
here.
Hey!
There we go.
So, is this beetle in a bottle on a poodle eating noodles? That's what I was wondering.
It is unfortunately not. It
is not a Tweedle Beetle battle?
No.
Darn. So,
Does Luke
my
Luck
cover-
lick lakes? Does Luke's duck lick lakes?
Luke Duck takes licks from Luke.
From lakes that lick
Ducks.
ducks lakes.
There you go, yeah. Is this book dumb? No, stupid. Thanks, Luke, for that one. Mom, I can't even spell stupid. Anyways, personal story. We'll get into that later. My book is a nice burnt red with a black binding, a nice cover writing. It's good. It definitely sets the first three are a little more fun. This one gets a little more. I mean, I'm red. You got to be red when you're a team. Red means winning. Victory.
Lorelei, what jumps out at you in the book cover there?
I like how one of the people has a unibrow.
I'm assuming that's Crumb.
Yeah.
Yep. He's got pretty straight line features, I'll say. He's square jawed, pretty honking nose there.
He's got a tiny mouth for his big nose.
It doesn't say much, so little bits. Little bits. Food for people with little mouths. Yeah, I think we get a lot of context clues that, again, if you don't know the story, mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it's things that looking back, you're like, oh wow, they had a lot of different things in there. But you can't look at this and be like, oh, this gives away the story.
This is the first time I have looked at this, and I've had this book in my possession and noticed about 95% of the things on it is right now. Mm-hmm. So without context clues, it meant nothing.
Right.
Like,
right.
Exactly. That's like the beauty of the book jackets and the covers.
Yeah.
Is that you're looking at it going, and I remember pulling it out and saying, okay, so what is this? Why is there blue foil? Like, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And half the stuff you don't even notice, even if you are trying to look very in depth at the details. You don't know what they mean.
Definitely not how I imagined Cedric would look.
He looks a little bit more like a Percy character than I would have thought in this illustration of him.
Definitely.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not quite the handsome, good-looking fella that they.
But he does have a bit of like a pretty boy, like an attempt at a pretty boy face. It's just not what I would have thought.
More like a Sims 2 Sim.
Sims 2,
yeah, not quite Sims 3, but.
Well, let's see. When did this come out compared to the Sims 2?
Probably
not too terribly far off, honestly. One thing that I'll make this my only critique of it. Harry is way too happy on this cover for how he is this entire book. Like, just for how awful this book is for him.
Yeah.
He is way too freaking happy.
And Harry's lightning scar has 3 wiggles on it. I'm kind of concerned.
Yeah, and it's right in the middle, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's supposed to be over his eyebrow.
It's supposed to be a lightning bolt. That doesn't really look like a lightning bolt.
It looks like 2 number 3s stacked on top of each other.
It's that music note, like the music inscription.
It's like a quarter rest.
Quarter rest.
He's got a quarter rest scar.
Yeah, so I just noticed because sorry, Melissa. I blew up the pictures and I'm seeing these red eyes on the back half of the cover under the dragon's wing.
Can you throw your image back up? Share your screen again.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. I can point out where I'm talking about. There we go. There's these red eyes right back here under the wing.
I think those are the beetles. That's what I thought were bugs. Maybe they are eyes. I don't know.
Yeah, they're eyes. They're definitely red eyes. So I was trying to figure out what those referenced. If it was maybe Moody, Crouch, but that'd only be one eye.
Could be Voldemort in general.
Was thinking Voldemort too.
Could be a Blessed and Scroot.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was just one I just this is the first time really looking into this in depth, seeing that. And then up here, you got a Dementor as well, up in the top right corner. Yep. Just hanging out.
People.
So overall, I think it's
solid,
on par with the other ones. Maybe even a little bit better. I don't know, any if you had to judge it, how does this compare to the other ones? Or does it not, it's hard to really compare them?
It's hard to get. It stands out. It gives you something to look forward to and start kind of looking for Easter eggs after you read through it and everything. And I think it does the job just as well as the rest of them. I put them all on the same level.
I like the I think the biggest thing is the coloring.
It's a lot
differences.
brighter. Yeah, I thought.
It's more of a, well, I would say it's more of like a warmer tones, but it's full of that green, so it's weird. It's I don't know. I think it just stands out, a lot because of the green and red, but it doesn't feel Christmassy.
Yeah. Yep. I
just think it stands out because it's double the size.
Yeah.
Got them all lined up. You've got little book, little book, big book, massive book.
Yep. This book and the next one's even bigger. So I'm ready for it. All right. Go for it, Melissa.
All right, so then we're going to talk about our favorite chapter in the book. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to start with Abby. Abby, go ahead and start us off. What was your favorite chapter here?
Chapter 1, the Riddle House. It's just so descriptive and scary. It's the scariest opening or book I had ever read at that point. I remember being like, oh my, Nagini. I sit and I was like, oh my, Frank, get out of there. Oh my gosh. I was so, it just evoked so many emotions. I'll never forget it. And I still it's the first time I've enjoyed reading Harry Potter chapter 1, probably too. So that was exciting, getting your brand new book. And I'm like, all right, we're going to go through, I think you call it the Babysitter's Club thing where you just skip chapter 2. That's introducing who everybody is.
Recap chap.
Yeah, you got to just skip it. I don't know. I never read those books, but I believe you. And I'm like, dude, we're diving in. I'm like, where are we? Did I miss an episode? What happened at the last book? So I like this. This chapter's good.
All right, and Luke, I'm gonna jump to your idea there as well.
Yeah, so there are a ton of really good chapters in this whole book, but I'm with Abby. I agree. Riddle House chapter 1. It's the second time that I'll say we've had a prologue type chapter, and it's such a different feel than The Boy Who Lived, chapter 1 of book 1. It's got some horror elements, like Abby mentioned. I love seeing the bad guy's side, and I'm going to use a reference of Game of Thrones. You open up the prologue to that book, and the show does it too, is seeing that these evil creatures are real, and they're out there, and they're dangerous. And I think that, because then you don't see them again for a long time, and that kind of happens in this book. We don't really see anything that's deliberately, yes, that's Voldemort, or yes, that's Wormtail. And it's just, you can forget about it. And then when it comes back, you're like, oh man, how did I forget? They literally gave us this idea that they were here. And I love when books do that. I really, really love that, because then on rereads, it sets that tone early, but then you're also primed because you know where those things start popping up again. And I know, just talking with Riley through our chapter summaries here, or our 5-chapter recaps, there were a lot of things that he was missing because he's supposed to miss those on his first time read. And that's what I think this chapter does a really, really great job. And I love the character of Frank Bryce. I mean, talk about just a cranky old guy who just got framed for murders that he didn't commit. And it's just, you get to feel for this whole town instantly. And it's one of those, it's not that long of a chapter, but it does a really, really good job of setting the tone that this whole story gets through. So I really like that chapter.
All right, Lorelei, how about you? You have a couple of choices here. What were your favorite chapters?
My favorite chapters were 1 and 19. 1, because I agree with them, because it gave a lot of detail of Voldemort's personality, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then 19 is because it's when Harry was so nervous about the first task, and I was like, man, I can just relate to that so much. Being nervous, freaking out the whole time.
Especially about the unknown, right? It's almost worse to not know what's coming than to live through the actual event.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when he actually sees the Horntail for the first time too, which doesn't help to his anxiety that he's going through, right? He's just like, oh no.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a good chapter.
All right. So then we actually have a different conglomerate of people who didn't pick the beginning of the book chapters, but jumped to the end. So, Benji, I'm going to go with you. What was your favorite chapter here?
So my favorite chapter, and my favorite chapter in the entire series, is chapter 33, The Death Eaters. It's when Voldemort gets to tell his story. He's back. Oh wow, we're in trouble. He's effing back. And here's why, and here's how. And we get Lucius Malfoy and Crabbe and Goyle and everybody begging and being and just, trying to figure out, please, Master, please forgive us, please forgive it. And he has one of the best lines: I do not forgive, and I do not forget. You can earn your way back. And it's Oh, I always am drawn to the bad guys, drawn to the evil side of things, and that one, it's just like, oh, here we go. Okay. And so I absolutely love that chapter.
All right. And then Riley, yours kind of tags right along.
So I agree with Benji heavily. I chose as my favorite chapter the following chapter, chapter 34, but because I kind of go through this in segments, I would say that both of those chapters kind of lean into my thought process. I really like the point in 33 where he's, giving his story. I love that. I think that's what sets up my favorite thing about it all is just how unbeatable he seems in this moment. And then right off he's worked so hard to get back here. And then in 34, right off the bat, Harry has the opportunity to, stiff him once again and get out of there and foil his plans once more. So, and we get a really cool, magical effect with the Priory and Cantatum. I just think that the whole, not necessarily like the spirits and the effect of the wand, being such like a magical thing. I think it was written well, and it really, for somebody who has a tough time picturing things when they read them, I thought it was painted pretty well. But just the overarching story of Harry being able to come out on top, at least not on top, obviously losing Cedric, but being able to keep pushing on, I think, after that whole section of what he's gone through, especially in the book, is why I like it so much.
Which leads right into my favorite chapter number 35, Veritaserum. Because for me, the reveal in this chapter, where Moody is not really Moody, like Moody was the bad guy, but it's not really Moody. It's this like way off to the side character that we've seen once, but hadn't really thought about. I thought the reveal was brilliant in this with Barty Crouch Jr. and like all of the off-screen stuff that had happened throughout the year that we didn't see. I really liked that. So that gets my favorite chapter.
It's hard to disagree with you on that one. That's the culmination of the whole story, and really all three of those chapters, and even the last two chapters. Like that whole end section of this book is, I know, going into, I think from like 30 on, when Melissa and I were going through these, it was like, man, this is some of the most fundamental good Harry Potter stuff that happens, and it's so concentrated.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the opposite. Let's talk about which chapters we thought were the weakest. What was the worst chapter? All right, Lorelei, I'll start with you.
Mine were 2, 18, and 9. Because 2 was just terrible. I didn't like it. 18, like...
Chapter is the way.
Yeah, I know. I just really, 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 really hated that, what's her face?
Rita.
I was like, yeah, her. Put Harry in the spotlight, and I really just hate her so much.
And then 9 is the Dark Mark. So when they're in the forest after the Quidditch World Cup, what was your problem with that chapter?
I thought that it wasn't cool what the Death Eaters were doing to the Muggles. Mm-hmm. I just didn't like that part. Other than that, it was alright.
Yeah, just the blatant cruelty that's going on there. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, not cool.
Not cool, bro. Not cool. Benj, what was your worst chapter?
So I have 3 kind of along the same lines, but they're all for the exact same reason. 2, the Scars, 6, the Portkey, and 32, Flesh, Blood, and Bone. They're all super short and could have easily been added to another chapter. Like Flesh, Blood, and Bone could have easily been added to the Death Eater chapter as one whole chapter. Doesn't need that cut off right when Voldemort comes out of the cauldron. The Scar doesn't need to just be 2 pages long of, oh, Harry's singing about this. And the Portkey, or walking to the Portkey to get to the Quidditch World Cup, that could be tied into either the previous chapter or the next chapter. It doesn't need, like, that could be tied into Back to the Burrow. Very minor things. Nothing in the stories themselves of the chapters I had an issue with. It was just the blocking, the very short, needless chapter breaks at times.
I think that's interesting because since you wrote the summary for every chapter, the ones you don't like are the chapters where not a lot happens and it was super short. You're like, how do I summarize nothing? Which is like, I can see your perspective on that, and I agree with you kind of completely.
I would rather have a book that's 1,000 pages long and has 800 chapters, 957 chapters, because every time I get through a chapter,
you can stop.
Success.
A mini win.
It's a mini win. I like small victories. Don't take them away. Don't book them into something else.
You should read the Percy Jacksons.
Yeah.
There's like 3-page chapters in those, aren't there?
Oh, man. That'd be good.
So, Benj, I'm gonna pick some nits real quick.
Yep.
I'm gonna pick one nit. Chapter 2, Chapter 6, I could agree with that. 6 could easily be tied into the first the chapter right before it.
I'm with you on this one.
2 could easily go into the one right after it. Flesh, Blood, and Bone was right up there for me for favorite chapters because it's so succinct and it ends at the most dramatic thing that has happened in this entire story.
Yes.
You don't include that into the Death Eaters come in because then you just like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, 2 minutes later, even though it is, but that dramatic end of chapter and Lord Voldemort had risen again. Like, oh
God,
God,
ending
like,
line
oh
to that
man.
chapter. Oh my gosh.
I do absolutely agree and understand. Like I said, the reason I was going with it is exactly what Melissa had said, because trying to summarize 3 pages of material of kill the spare, cut, go through the incantation, and he's back. It's just, and also, but like there was many chapters, even like like every chapter there, it felt, especially early in the book, was very short. Like that's why we had 36 chapters in this book, 37 chapters in the book, because there's like super short chapters at times. It's like, you don't need all these short chapters. I like the longer drawn out stuff from time to time. So, I mean, but I understand exactly that one. Yes, it is very succinct, but I just picked because of the shortness.
Sure. I think that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Luke. I think Flesh, Blood, and Bone is an excellent chapter. I just totally get your perspective, Benj, on it's really difficult to write.
I just wanted to stand for the good name of Chapter 32.
Yeah.
That's all. I wanted to throw a defense in there just to...
It's completely fair.
So,
now
Abby...
we have a most divisive chapter section, and Chapter 32 wins.
Abby, what was the worst chapter in your opinion?
I picked 2. I just felt like it was kind of a little bit... We didn't do a... what's it called? The recap chapter. Oh, wait, here it comes.
Right, yeah.
There's a boy of 14 sitting on a bed. He lives on Privet Drive with his aunt and his uncle who don't really like him very much. Like, lady, I am at least 600, 700 pages into this story at this point. I don't, stop wasting my time. Like, let's get past this because this is a big old book and it's going to take me a year and a half to read it. So, come on. And it's not even terrible, though. Like, I don't know.
Riley?
2. Trash. JK, what are you doing?
Oh.
Like Abby said, how many pages are we in? I get it. I hate Privet Drive just as much as everybody else, if not more. If there's a Privet Drive chapter in the first 5 chapters of the next book,
oh boy,
she's getting a letter.
She's getting a letter.
That's getting my owl.
Yeah.
15 years later.
Just wait. Just wait.
I just think about it. This is the way I think about it. Like, end of this book. Sirius exonerated by Dumbledore. He can literally probably do whatever he wants now within reason. Just why is Harry ever going to go back to Privet Drive ever? Please, not worth. We don't need the chapter. Even if he does, just be like, and Benji could write a summary on this chapter. One sentence says Harry spends 3 terrible weeks with his family in Privet Drive. End of chapter. He's at the train.
He wrote a letter. He's at the train. September 1st. Boom.
Yeah, and then we're there. Let's figure out what happens.
Wait for book 5 and Riley and
I just want to I love Riley's passion about this so much. It's thank you. Thank you. You're sweating. Take a break. Take a drink. I truly appreciate it so much because that's how you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to hate when he goes back, and you're in it.
Yeah, but I think you could hate. I don't know. I think it could be done differently. I think you could hate the characters more and more and more and more rather than hating the situation. I don't know. I think it could be done differently.
Okay.
I think the monotony of it just drives me how it is.
That's fair.
Oh
that's fair.
God.
We have lots to
but
revisit.
I think that's how Harry feels. Harry feels the monotony of it. That's anyway.
Yeah,
because at Private Drive, he's not Harry Potter. He's the boy. He's Harry.
Yeah, but the whole time he's the boy, he doesn't want to be the boy. So why is he? Oh my gosh!
Exactly.
All right. I'll do my worst chapter in this book. I feel like there could be another answer just to be different, but I really do think that 2 is the weakest chapter in this book. He sits there. He has some kind of recollection that he saw what happened at the Riddle House, which is amazing, but then it just turns into, oh, I should write a letter to Hermione. Hermione is this person. I should maybe write one. Oh, and she'll say this if she finds out, to give more character context on a character that we know very well. Same thing for Ron. Same thing for Dumbledore. And then it's like, oh, there's probably all these other characters that we could write to and have one of these. You could probably go through like 15 different characters. Like, oh, maybe I should write to Arthur Weasley. But this is what he would say. Maybe I should write to Percy Weasley. This is what he would say. Fred and George would do this. It's not awfully written. We get some context of, and that's actually the next chapter where we find out that Dudley's on the diet, and that colors a little bit. But yeah, like nothing happens, and it's just, oh, and he remembers 2 months ago we found out he has his godfather who's an escaped convict who was actually innocent, but people don't know that, but he's cool and we love him and he's scary. But that's like all that happens.
Okay, I have a funny thing to add on.
Okay, go for it.
Chapter 2, it starts saying, this is my version of what Chapter 2 should have been. Chapter 2 starts, it says, if you were confused about anything that happened in the previous chapter, or maybe this comes at Chapter 3, if you're confused about anything that happened in the first 2 chapters, read the first 3 books of the story. End chapter. Move on.
So I want to throw one, and I know in our end of book final chapters recap, we went through our buddy Jason's thoughts, and he tried to defend chapter 2 a bit. And I will say there is a valid point that was made. Just one, Jason. Just one. And it was the fact that we have this first time ever inkling that there's something going on that Harry is seeing into what Voldemort's up to. He doesn't really think about that, but he's just kind of like, what's that all about? And he just forgets about that side of it as opposed to what actually happened. So I don't want to dwell on that too much, but that is a valid thing that moves forward.
Sure.
Yeah. I do have one dishonorable mention because I'm kind of running through here as well that I wanted to add.
Melissa needs to do her worst chapter still.
But that's fair. Sorry.
Melissa, please go.
Okay. Well, I have a runner-up to the worst chapter ever. The runner-up is chapter 16, The Goblet of Fire.
Okay.
I don't know why, other than in our notes on the tab for chapter 16, one of us put a note that said potential least favorite.
I knew we had one of those somewhere. I didn't go back and look.
I feel like to honor whatever pedestal we were dying, whatever hill we were dying on in that episode, in all full disclosure, I did not go back and listen to this episode of our own to see is that one of us didn't like about it, but I feel like we need to honor our own thoughts from however long ago that was, that chapter 16 was not one of our favorites.
It's one of those.
So honored.
Not a whole lot happens is kind of what it is, I think.
That's not true. I didn't turn into like the old people and then the names come out of the fire. I honestly cannot tell you what it is disliked, but there was something that stood out, so I had to honor that.
It was a very Hagrid heavy chapter. That's probably what it was.
No, it was. There was the Halloween.
Yeah, and they go down and spend time at Hagrid's. But
there was also like the 2. There was 2 feasts.
Yeah,
that's what basically it was 2 feasts with a little bit of Hagrid and the age line in between. Anyway, the correct answer, however, for worst chapter is chapter 2. You were all correct, and you received bonus points.
Okay, all right. I feel better in my correct choice.
There you go. And then, Benj, you felt like you needed one more thing to add.
There was one more. Chapter 10, Mayhem at the Ministry. I'm adding that into short chapters that could have been combined with Aboard the Hogwarts Express. Didn't need the, just hanging, back at the Burrow thing. That, as a standalone. That's all.
Okay. All right. Then we're going to move on to our best character, which prior to recording, Riley pointed out that he's really happy it's not the most valuable character of the entire book, just which one was our favorite or best one that we enjoyed. And so for this, I'm actually going to start. Luke, I'd like to hear yours first. So Luke, who was your best character in this book?
my best character, and I think there's a kind of a correct answer, and then there's what I put.
Which is why I started with you.
Yeah.
Because you will not get points for this one.
No, well, I feel good about my answer still, and Dumbledore is truly awesome in this book. The way he handles crisis, his crisis management skills after Harry gets back is awesome. It's pretty well done. That he's got all these things going on. He figures out what's going on and comes in and gets the answers he needs. His end of school speech is exactly what it needed to be. And I think the way he challenges, and the parting of the ways chapter as well, which another honorable mention for a really, really great chapter. The descent between Fudge and Dumbledore, everything Dumbledore says is 100% correct, just on a humanity level. And I think that he does a really great job with the end of book stuff. He's not too involved early on, and he's also very calm, whenever in chapter 17 when he approaches Harry about putting his name in the Goblet of Fire. He's incredibly calm when he's talking about that, about putting your name in the Goblet of Fire. So he's just incredibly calm, and I like that.
All right, so now for the correct answer.
Well, I do have one honorable mention before we do that as well. Harry Potter himself is a great hero in this book. He does a lot of tremendous things that are way above his skill level, challenges himself, and succeeds. And he's a really good friend and a good person a lot of the time. So I just want to give him some props as well.
All right. And Riley, what was the correct answer for this question?
Oh, Barty Crouch Jr. Yeah. Woo! Great character. I definitely wouldn't have said this without the conversation that we had in our final section talk with just I. But I just think the perspective of him being moody throughout the whole book and he's not moody is nuts. It's like the book version of The Sixth Sense, and it's awesome. It's a great spin. I think on the reread it'll be really interesting to see some of the stuff that we talked about. I just think it's a great villain, and I don't know, I think that you have to have in order to make really good overarching villains, which is what this book has set up to do, to just create this Voldemort character, you have to have those stepping stone villains that are almost, you couldn't believe more, there's somebody who could be more sinister than them, and would go to so many lengths to accomplish this mission. So I think the henchmen of the arch enemy are just as important, and I think that this has been the best one that we've seen in the series. So I really like Barty Crouch Jr. Never thought about him as a character before reading this book, so even with my prior knowledge, so I think it was easy choice.
Family Feud response of the day. Good answer.
Sure. All right. Abby, how about you?
Eyes agrees. What I like about him is that he concerns me. He definitely is a huge player in this book. It's a huge shock, awe factor. Maybe not awe, but definitely shock. And it concerns me that I like him. What does that say about me? And when I'm thinking back about Mad Eye Moody, I have a great affinity, I believe is the word I want to use. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. For him. And then I think about it. How many times are we going to interact with him? I don't know. But it's because of this year that I have such great feelings about him. And it's not him. It's really trippy for me. So it concerns me. Not sure how I feel about myself. So I figured a character that makes me question my personal morals that hard should win.
Okay. I think that's well spoken. Benj, how about you?
Same. It's Barty Crouch Jr., a.k.a. Fake Moody, a.k.a. the Slippery Tongue. Sorry, that's the movie reference. No,
that's
it's...
Crowley.
What's that?
I said that's Crowley. Never mind. Good Omens reference.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Is that the same?
David Tennant.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, wow. I didn't catch that. Okay,
he's awesome.
Nice. No, it's because as Abby said, you get to know this character, and I'll be honest, I did not see that one coming. I can sniff out some, who's gonna be the bad guy, who's gonna be the twist, in a lot of things I read or I try to. Did not see the Moody being the guy. It had me fooled all the way until the reveal, and I love that. And it shows how good of a character that Crouch Jr. was, that he could, fool everyone, including Dumbledore, up until the very end. It's just, I like the skill.
All right. Lorelei, how about you? Who was your favorite character?
Eyes agrees too.
I had to unmute to laugh at that. That was funny. Good job. Sorry, muting again.
I think him because I like how committed Barty Crouch Jr. is to his beliefs. He's like, my parents don't agree with me. Like, everyone besides, like, my lord doesn't agree with me. I don't care. I'm gonna, like, preach to my lord and do whatever he says, no matter what the cost is. And, like, I like that. I mean, I don't think he's believing in the right stuff, but I like how committed he is to his beliefs. And he's really, and I like how he makes fun of Malfoy and turns him to, like, a ferret or something.
Oh, good call.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, it's hard to hate a guy who does that to Malfoy.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm going to have to go 5 out of 6. It's got to be fake Moody. I really like Moody as the character of Moody, and the fact that somebody else was able to fake being Moody for so long without anybody catching on. That is a high acting skill level that I'm very impressed with. And like the amount of detail he put in, I think he's a great teacher, which is weird. Like, he is an excellent instructor. He knows his students. He goes out of his way to, like, help them. Look what he did for Neville. Granted, he had an ulterior motive, but he still helped Neville, right? All those different things that he did while pretending to be somebody else completely. That is a level of commitment you don't see, and detail you don't see in characters in books in particular, especially kids' books. Mm-hmm. That level of, like, shadiness and commitment to that shadiness. So I appreciate that.
I truly do agree that is the correct answer. So I won't add anything more. You guys nailed it. So let's again do the opposite. Who was the worst character? Melissa, I'm going to go right back to you. Who was the worst character in your opinion in this book?
Well, so I answered it, and then I saw that Abby actually has the right answer. So I'm going to say mine, and then I might steal part of hers because she's actually correct. If that's okay, Abby, or
good with me.
Okay, so first of all, I really hate Ludo Bagman. He's just the kind of person that drives me crazy personally. You know, like the showy, I'm gonna do this, and the big man on campus, and then he ends up being kind of not really a jerk, but kind of an idiot and like messes stuff up. So he just annoys me to no end. But the actual like worst person is Rita Skeeter. She is the worst. The worst. She's horrible. She is a horrible human being, even when she's not a human being. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yes.
So Abby, please go ahead and follow that up.
So I don't want to get you in trouble here with some Snape hate, but the way you speak about Snape and just how ridiculous his anger towards Harry is, I feel like coincides with how ridiculous I think of an adult reporter going in and terrorizing children. It's despicable to me. Like, it is so despicable. I might even get political with you on this. Watch out, folks. I don't think that whether you agree with a president or not, their children should be on the chopping block. Or you want to go be paparazzi and go after some stars, fine. Their children are off limits. And I think that's how the children at Hogwarts should have been. I think she's a despicable human being. So you stink.
I think that's a pretty good answer. And I saw that you had that, and I strongly considered putting her, so I went a different route. But Lorelei, I heard you making some agreement to that as well. Do you have anything else to add for Rita hate?
Oh, I just really hate her.
Yeah, she's pretty despicable.
So
I think
I agree with that 100%.
So then, who are you going to give your worst character crown to? Maybe it's a dunce cap.
Barty Crouch.
Senior or junior?
Oh, senior.
Okay.
Because, one, he just a meanie pants.
That is true.
He's just not cool. He's just, I just don't like him. I don't like what he's doing. I don't like how he's like dissing on Dumbledore and being like, Dumbledore, I brought this Dementor in for my personal safety. And Dumbledore's like, I don't care butthole. This is my place.
That was Fudge that did that at the end.
Whoever it was, I don't like them.
So that
Add them to the list.
Oh my
Add
God.
them to the list.
I'll go ahead and throw it to Riley then,
Yeah.
because I think he can speak to
similar
how your feelings are going.
issue that I had was I hated both of them, and I couldn't remember which ones did which.
Crouch
It's-
and
yeah,
Fudge.
Yeah, I don't know who did what.
right. So
Oh.
let me break down why I originally put down Barty Crouch Sr., which I still agree with in terms of worst character, but I do think Fudge is terrible, and I will try not to delineate into any political talk, but I hate people who are in positions of power that outwardly refuse to accept information, regardless of whether it's true or not. Just complete denial of new information rather than taking time to investigate it before making a decision on it. I hate the end where he just has to come out and deny Voldemort. And yeah, do you have anything to add to that?
I'm confused. Who are we talking about right now?
Fudge.
Because I'm
Fudge.
reading a
Fudge.
different book.
Fudge.
Okay, all right, cool.
It
Here
was
we
a
go.
combination of originally he said Crouch, but Fudge kind of took it for him at
Fudge
the
is
end.
okay. I was like, hold on.
But yeah,
I
so
got you.
that's why I hate Fudge. I think he's a terrible leader, and I just don't. I really try to like analyze leaders, and I think that his skills are terrible. So I hate him as a character. But I think Barty Crouch Sr. is the worst character in the book because he is written and provides little to nothing to the story, other than being a placeholder and a motivator for our villain of Barty Crouch Jr. He's gone the whole time. The only person who cares is Percy, who I hate. So it just adds words onto the page that mean nothing because nobody cares that he's gone, really. And even when he's back, he doesn't do anything other than just be a jerk. So I don't know. I think that he's just very useless in the story. He does have some kind of, context addition, but he adds nothing to the story, and I think he's a terrible character.
I
Fair.
think that's fair.
Yeah.
Benj, who is the
So-
worst character for you?
So I was going to kind of piggyback off of Riley's. If you listen to my bad guy breadcrumbs thing, I do break down saying that all in all, the real bad guy of this book is Barty Crouch Sr. Because as Sirius said, had he spent a bit more time at home, maybe he'd know what his son was up to. But really, you guys are missing the worst one of them all. Kevin's mother. She lets her son go out in the yard because they want a little lion.
Time out. Raise your
Yes.
hand if you know who Kevin or Kevin's mother is.
I do.
I do. Okay, keep going, Benji. I
So-
apologize.
No, you're fine.
Wait,
So-
hold on. For those of you not looking, Abby, Lorelei, and Riley did not raise their hands. Continue.
So during the Quidditch World Cup, campsite before the game,
Oh,
Harry and Hermione and Ron are walking around, trying to get water, and they spot a little toddler just left to his own device, playing around, doing nothing, playing with a wand, blowing up a slug, and Mom comes out and scolds him for playing and blowing up the slug,
You
and then
bust
she,
slug.
instead of being a good witch and reducting the slug to let him go, just stomps it, just squishes it. You bust slug. Come on. That is not fair. That slug did nothing. And you know what? It's your fault for letting your kid walk around this camp of 10,000 wizards, without any guidance because you wanted to sleep in because you drank too much at the campsite last night. Sorry, but Kevin's mother.
I think you're making a completely valid point, and I think there needs to be some wand regulation put involved here.
Yes.
There needs to be some
I
conceal and
think-
carry wand laws that are they're just being abused here.
I think that once you've walked in Kevin's mother's shoes, then you can judge. Let's stop the mom shame, okay? If my kids want to ride their scooters
no, my-
barefoot, they can. Ashley Meadow Lane, okay?
my biggest complaint. Oh no, the mom. I'm not mom shaming
I'm
for letting
just
her
teasing
run around.
you.
Oh, I know. Not mom shaming for letting her run around. Go ahead. But the slug. Come on, you're a witch.
Slug abuse.
Slug abuse.
Slug
It's
abuse.
just, and then also honorable mention for Bozo. Who knows Bozo?
I only know Glenn saying bozo. So I
Was it
apologize.
something that we said in our podcast? Because
It is a
Bozo
character.
is
That
not a character in the book.
Yes, it is. He is Riaski's cameraman.
Ooh.
He watched all of her actions and everything, and took no steps
There it was.
to curtailing her actions.
There you go.
Bozo the cameraman.
Yep. Just letting it happen, right? Because he had to have known.
But really, there's no bad character. I mean, there's worse characters, and it's Barty Crouch Sr. in my opinion. Like, holy. I would just try and make the monies.
No, that is funny. I just feel like on the Barty Crouch Sr. thing, we missed the whole thing. He got his son out of prison, even though he was convicted as his wife's dying wish. She ain't gonna be there. She ain't gonna care longer. Like, I don't know. That's another.
Well, and that's the thing. Her dying wish was to get him out. So he got him out, but he kept him imprisoned. So he didn't really
not well enough.
Tortured Winky into making her deal with it instead of dealing with himself. Yeah. No, Barty Crouch Sr. is pretty terrible. By the way, in the book, the photographer's name is Vernon, not Bozo.
No, it's Bozo.
She refers to him as Bozo.
Did he Bozo? Snappy start sent to a sentence, Bozo. It's used twice.
Okay, I was going to say in our character introduction,
and it's capitalized.
Vernon. Okay,
and this is in chapter
Way of the Wands. Whatever.
Yeah, that's where I have my notes. Unless we got it wrong on our notes there, Lucifer.
I have a first edition. I wonder if it's changed. I mean, I'm sure you guys do too, but I wonder if the different books have.
I don't. We've gone into.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the fandom page, and
this is chapter 24.
Maybe it's a different guy.
Which is Rita Skeeter's Scoop. Different time than the Weighing of the Wands. Vernon was the one in Weighing of the Wands. Bozo is the one in Rita Skeeter's Scoop.
Maybe.
No, Bozo's in Weighing of the Wands.
No, he's not. He's not. I'm looking right at it.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I went off of,
Is it HarryPotter.wikia?
It's fandom. Yeah, Harry Potter wiki.
Don't trust them. Anyway.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't want them to take us down. Anyway.
That poor slug.
That poor slug.
Poor slug.
Justice for the slug.
I very much agree that probably the most evil character that we interact with often, the most terrible person is maybe Crouch Sr. I agree with Fudge is pretty awful at the end there. Obviously, Voldemort's a pretty bad dude, but he honestly doesn't do anything besides kill a spare, which I'm okay with that. Cedric was no longer needed for the story, so that's okay.
No. The most evilest person in this entire book was the mom who squished that poor slug. He did nothing to deserve it.
I want to shine some light on another bad character. And this isn't so much as they were evil or really just terrible. It's more of this character could have been utilized a lot more, I think. And it's Igor Karkarov. He is a bad guy. He's just there to be a whiny complainer about what's going on and give us a little bit of insight, but not much. I feel like that could have been a much more easily utilized sinister person at Hogwarts, even though it makes sense, but I feel like that could have been something even deeper than what he was, similar to Barty Crouch Jr. And he's there to be a bit of a scapegoat. He's the red herring. He's the Percy Weasley in book 2, where it's just like, oh, this is one of the obvious choices of what's going on, and we're trying to lead you that way. But I don't know, the fact that he just kind of runs away at the end is a little bit like, it just reminds me of like characters from Zelda when you kill somebody and they're like, they just run away. Wilson did it perfectly, hands shaking in the air, and it's like, what are you doing? What are you running back to Moo Moo Farm for? And I don't know. I just think it's a character that could have been utilized a lot more, I think, is the angle I'm taking on that.
I decided if I was going to be bad, I was going to be the baddest bad guy out there.
No, but I've decided if I'm going to be bad, I'm going to get caught and sell out every single one that I worked with, because screw you guys, I'm going home.
Pretty much. Yeah, he's pretty terrible for that reason, too.
All right, so we're going to jump to our next best of. This is going to be best illustration. And let's start with Lorelei. Lorelei, what was your favorite illustration in this book?
Oh, yeah, mine was 36, dude. Because it was one of the first ones I saw really quickly. I thought it was cool, and I put it down.
Tell us about that one.
It's got a skull and a snake, and it is creepy, and I like it.
36, there we go.
Yeah, that is one of the best ones. That's the one that I think would be a great tattoo.
Cool. I was just going to make that joke. Oh, hey, I got that tattoo. Weird.
So when Lorelei turns 18, we'll all go out and get...
Aunt Abby will take
Luke, I do have the illustrations up. Just
Thank you.
know. Yeah.
No, they're centered.
Is there one?
Well, I have the arrow on the one that we're speaking about.
I'll stop critiquing you.
No,
Not that anyone listening to the podcast can see it.
Well, true, but if you do
it
go
is
back
for our own uses. Lorelei, what were you going to say there, dearie?
No, I totally forgot, but the description is that there is a skull and a snake inside of the skull. You're welcome.
All right, Ben, let's jump to you. What was your favorite illustration?
So mine is, I have chapter 27, which is Padfoot's Return. It's just a very simple dog carrying a newspaper, and it's well done. You kind of know exactly what's coming. We're getting a big, hairy Sirius back, and I'm always a fan of dogs. So, this is a well drawn dog. He looks like he needs some head scratches.
He's a good dog. Oh, he's a good puppy.
All right, Abby, how about you?
You're muted. Gee, dang it.
That was a very articulate answer. Sorry you missed it. Next time.
That was a rough draft. Dress rehearsal.
Oh, man, it was so good, though. So I picked chapter 4, Back to the Burrow. When I was looking through the illustrations to pick one for this, they give us a nice long sheet of all of them. And immediately when I saw this, I know exactly what's happening and the hilarity. Just this tiny little guy's feet sticking out of a boarded up fireplace. I'm like, oh my gosh. George, go back. Fred, tell George. George, tell Ron to go back. And then it's just the whole thing in the Dursleys' house makes being at the Dursleys worth it.
It's very slapsticky, isn't it?
It really is. It's lighthearted. It's funny. He's worried about his pigtail, and I just enjoy it. Laugh out loud, funny to me.
Riley?
Yeah.
How about you? What was your favorite illustration?
My favorite illustration was chapter 17, The Four Champions. In this picture, we see Harry standing alone with no other detail other than his shadow and him looking at his shadow alone. The reason I picked this is because of kind of in a similar vein of what Abby said, you can tell exactly what's going on, but instead of telling what's going on physically, what's happening, this picture really shows what's going on inside Harry's head at this moment. In this chapter, funnily enough, titled The Four Champions, he's standing alone, looking at his shadow because he feels alone. When he's chosen to be one of the champions, he feels like everybody is against him. Even Ron is against him, Everybody thinks that he put his name somehow in that cup and he doesn't really know who to turn to. And I just think it's such a solemn picture that really grasps that feeling really well.
Well, I would like to congratulate you for being the only one who got it right. Luke, go ahead. Why don't you tell us your favorite illustration as well?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say you hit the correct answer. You've been listening to our podcast. Thank you. This was one we've done the illustration discussion for 2 full books now. We started in book 3, I believe, and
when I didn't remember to do it ever.
Right. And congratulations on being 36 for 37 in this book.
That's right.
Pretty good percentage. But I cannot remember a single other chapter that during the illustration, it dominated the way we talked about the chapter. It completely changed, like having this picture in context of what Harry is emotionally going through, feeling small, feeling like he just doesn't belong there. And immediately when he walks in and sees that the other 3 just look super tall and he feels so diminutive, he feels alone. It carries on through the next couple chapters because he also ends up losing Ron, and this is one of the times during these books that we have the fickle student body of Hogwarts where almost everybody hates him, and he has nobody really beside him. He finds out that there are people that support him, which helps, but in this chapter, he's alone, and it's just him in his shadow, and the way that the shadow is so tall, I think it leans towards the future of what he is able to achieve. He's casting a longer shadow than he normally is, and I just think it's really, really powerful what this illustration was able to do for the context of this chapter.
Yeah, Luke, as Varys would say, even a small man can cast a great shadow.
Yep.
I think I agree with you completely. I think this is the only illustration that has struck me as adding to the emotion of a chapter. I think the long shadow almost embeds like the idea that everyone else around him is so tall and he feels so small and so helpless and so out of his element. But I also get, this is going to be terrible, an Anakin Skywalker Phantom Menace feel.
Yeah.
Okay.
With like the Darth Vader shadow looming ahead of him. Not that I think Harry is going there or anything, but it's just that idea of like the expectation for who this boy is, like what is expected of him and how hard that can be is part of it too. I don't know. It's my favorite. I think it wins personally.
Yeah, I think it's incredible.
Cue Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
You can beat my slapstick funny with your theological,
Theological.
No.
I don't really even know what that means. I'm just joking. But it's like so well reasoned. I can't argue. Like
No.
I'm done.
I love your answer.
Yet do we plan on an illustration actually mattering?
Right.
And that's the thing. Like it surprised both of us, I think, as we were getting into it. And it again, like go back to and listen to that podcast, because it's like as we were doing it, I just remember being surprised. It was like, man, this is how Harry feels. And if you put everything in context of, because it's easy to get wrapped up in all of the hullabaloo of everyone coming in and Dumbledore being so calm, incredibly calm. Let me emphasize how calm he was. More on that in 2 weeks. But and all of the other adults pointing at him and being like, "How did you do this?" And even Cedric being like, "Okay, you didn't put it in. That's fine. You don't have to tell me." And I don't know. It's I've never seen one of these illustrations from these two books, at least, that have just colored the conversation about the chapter itself. All right, so that was a fun one. Let's get into potentially an even more fun one. This is one of the best sections, one of the best superlatives I think we can have, and this is the best line. So not best sentence. It can be a little bit longer than a sentence, so choose wisely. Benji, I'll start with you. What was your favorite line in this whole book?
I'm going with an honorable mention because I digressed my favorite to somebody else here. But Muggle women wear them, Archie, not the men. They wear these, said Mystery Wizard, and he brandished up pinstripe trousers. I'm not putting those on, said old Archie in indignation. I like a healthy breeze around my privates. Thank you.
And Hermione just starts cracking up.
Yes. And I can't deny that he's wrong. So there you go.
That's a great line. I love that line. Archie should have got an honorable mention for best like tertiary character. How about that?
Yeah, he almost did. Yeah.
Lorelei, what was your favorite line in this book?
My favorite was, hold on. You will have the honor of being just as useful as Berta Jawkins, Voldemort said to Wormtail, and I was like, man, he must have felt hurt right there. Because, like, he's going through all these things, he's doing all this stuff for him, and he's just like, don't worry, you'll be just as much as useful as Bertha. Like,
somebody who I just killed.
Just, yeah. Just like, oof.
Abby, how about you? What was your favorite line?
Unmute.
Nice job unmuting. You were right on at that time.
My scissors are falling. Stuff is falling. I apologize. So, it says... Ah, yes, the Triwizard Tournament. Well, some of you will not know what this tournament involves. So I hope those who do, will forgive me for giving a short explanation and allow their attention to wander. I can't read tonight. It's all right.
To wander freely.
Yeah, can we do like a clap and edit that shit? Wow, Steph? Oh, jeez.
No, you're fine. So what do you love about that line so well?
Well, one, I love Dumbledore when he gives these gigantic speeches and you give them to kids at school. We're going to have this great year. And he's like, they're not listening. They want to eat. They're here with their friends. He just gets it. I like that Dumbledore consistently has just kind of got it. Like he understands. And he also is saying, those of you who do know, you don't have to pay attention. It will not be held against you. I love the correct expectations that he puts on people. It's admirable and funny. He does it in such a jolly way.
Yeah, it's like a self-aware and self-deprecating kind of way. It's really witty and just clever because it's also very true.
And he also commands in that too. It's never said, but you're going to let your attention wander. You're not going to talk. You're going to let me pass this information? Like, it's implied the expectation that he has of you. But if you don't want to sit there and pay attention because this is old news, fine. Like, I just love the awareness as an adult, some inspiring things I can take to kids. Like, nobody wants to sit here and talk about what shoes your sister's getting. Do something else. It's fine. I don't know.
That's a good line. That's a really good line. Melissa, what was your favorite line?
Remember, Cedric. Remember, if the time should come when you have to make a choice between what is right and what is easy, remember what happened to a boy who was good and kind and brave because he strayed across the path of Lord Voldemort. Remember, Cedric Diggory. That, to me, is the line that has stood out about this book for decades. We totally knocked somebody off. We are not afraid to kill people. Voldemort is not messing around because it could happen to you, but it is okay to do the right thing, even in the face of that adversity. That, like, if I had to pick one line, if I had to randomly ask me any time over the last 20 years, what line do you remember for this book? It's Remember Cedric Diggory. That's the one that stands out to me. So that's my favorite.
I would just follow that up with, I have one edit for the way that line is written, and it would go like this. Remember what happened to a boy who was good and kind and brave and kind of a spare because he strayed across the path of Voldemort.
Aww.
I'm so sorry.
I see your edit. I value your opinion, but I do not condone your edit.
I can see that being cut on the production floor.
He's
but
only worth 10 points.
How dare you talk of Edward Cullen like that?
At best, he was more of a donut than a spare. Come on.
I think it was a full strike. Let's be honest.
He's only worth 10 points a frame.
All right, sorry. I did just to take one of the heaviest hitting lines in the book, and I agree. That's a really memorable one. I just have a light touch with it. Riley, what was your favorite line?
My favorite line was, "She's got the measure of Crouch better than you have, Ron. If you want to know what a man's like, take a good look at how he treats his inferiors, not his equals." That was said by Sirius, and I picked it as one of my favorite lines in one of the sections. I just think it's a true statement. It's the truest statement that I've read in the book. I think it's something that isn't paid attention to a lot when people pick their friends and when people decide how they feel about their friends regardless. I think just because somebody treats you well or their friend group well doesn't mean they're a good person, because they may treat everybody else in the world like
total garbage.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I know I stole that one from you a little bit, Benji. So if you want to add more to it, go ahead.
No, I was just kind of going to piggyback off what Melissa said. When you ask me to name a line, this is my line from the book, because it is a good guidepost. It's, if you want to know how to judge people, don't judge them by the company they keep. Judge them by the people they employ. Judge them by their inferiors, know, and how they treat them. And I've used that, personally, and it definitely has stuck with me. So that's why I was like, that it was well said, Melissa, of the lines that stick with you. So I like that.
So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I've got 2 lines picked, and one of them actually kind of harkens to a third line. So I'll just reference that. But so my
just making up rules for himself here.
Pick a line.
So the one that I'm going to pick is, you've got to know. It seems harsh maybe, but you've got to know. And that's Fake Moody, Barty Crouch Jr. in the Unforgivable Curses, when he's about to be really nice to Neville after class, and just a great scene in general. And I like that, and we've talked about this, Melissa and I have, how some of the adults are really good at challenging the students to mature. And if it's one of those, I'm going to throw this out here, and if you can't keep up, then maybe I'll tone it down, but I'd rather have you have the chance of knowing. The one I'm going to reference that's similar to that is at the end of school speech, where Dumbledore says, the Ministry doesn't want me to tell you this, but this is what happened, and then gets into the whole Cedric was killed by Voldemort thing. So those two kind of go together, and that sentiment is awesome in this book, treating children like they can actually handle it. And we're talking about more like teenagers, like giving them the information and letting them decide if they're aware, if they're at the level that they need to accept that. And I'm going to say my real favorite line is, what's coming will come, and we'll meet it when it does. Hagrid at the end. It's very similar to a line from the Fantastic Beasts movie, from Newt Scamander, where he says, don't worry. That just means you'll suffer twice. And that's very fundamentally how I feel about things a lot of times. I don't have time to worry. Like, if it goes wrong, it's going to go wrong. Why sit here thinking about it going wrong? That's only going to be a detriment to me. So maybe I cognitively ignore things, but I'll just deal with things as they happen. So that's one of those big tenets, David tenets, that I took from this book. So.
Wow, Luke, you only had to choose one line from 734 pages, and you couldn't even do that.
Oh, it was tough. There are a lot.
Lorelei
Just
gone
read.
yet?
She did. She picked
Okay.
Wormtail.
Can I just piggyback, get on the Luke train here? Because I really have another one I'd like to say. That's what I've been waiting for. I didn't want to interrupt her, though.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so this one says, Hermione was now teaching Crumb to say her name properly.
Oh.
He kept calling her Hermione.
Hermione.
Hermione, she said slowly and clearly. Hermione. Close enough, she said, catching Harry's eye and grinning. Thanks, JK, for that. I appreciate you.
Mhm.
That's all. You saw me struggle through my favorite line of the whole book, and this is why the Crumb scene needed to happen. I appreciate you.
The phonics lesson was awesome.
It was perfect. I appreciated it the day it came out. So, very good.
Yep, good old Hermione.
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 Hermione. That's what I called her for the first 3 books.
Yep.
I called her Hermie. I didn't try.
H.
Hermie.
There's
Right.
H. There's girl H.
Yeah.
Girl number 1.
There's girl number 1.
Girl from the show.
Girl from the show.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're going to jump
She
to our
got
next
paid a lot
section.
less
This is called The Best Use of Magic. So let's go with you. What was your favorite magical use in this particular book?
Really liked Harry's summoning charm in Task 1. He struggled through learning it. He was emotionally struggling, like we talked. This is kind of the fallout from that chapter 17, that he's aware of the Hungarian Horntail. He knows what he's kind of going to have to do, and that social anxiety is building on him. And that's why he struggles so much with learning the summoning charm in general. But he gets it. He nails it immediately when he needs to. And that instant of after he casts it, he says, Accio Broom. And he's sitting there. He's like, I'm either going to look like a total idiot standing here because it doesn't work, or I'm going to look incredibly brilliant when this works. And that, just the anxiety that builds up in him after he says that, of like, I hope this works. And he's just looking around like, there it is. I just love that part. That's a good stuff.
All right. Lorelei, how about you? Yours kind of goes in the same general area.
My favorite is when Cedric Diggory turned into a labradoodle. I could just see the most adorable dog running away from a terrifying dragon, getting hurt a little bit, but then still running.
Because he transfigures a rock into the dog, right? So he can try and sneak the egg.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is it because he's a Hufflepuff and you have to puff pride, or is it because it's a dog?
Puff, are you kidding me? Yeah, this is hurtful that you guys say that, but I guess we're both. It's very hurtful. I feel hurt now.
No, I was laughing because it's an amazing thing.
Riley's never heard the term puff
I haven't
pride.
heard it yet.
Who are you? Puff Pride.
I was not being judgy this time, I promise.
As the only Hufflepuff here, I feel very attacked.
Well, there's-
I was going to say, if you're going to say in the family, you are no longer the only one in the family. We'll talk later about that.
There's no Slytherin slime power word. So that
Slytherin support group.
Yeah, it's the SSG.
Aw. All right. So then let's go to who do I pick? I think I'm gonna go with Abby and then Riley.
All right. So, I'm not muted this time. Fantastic. I
Proud of you. You're doing great, Ab.
Thank you. I called this the Malferret or the Ferret Foid. Ferret Foy. I was trying to couple name it. It just didn't really work. The Malfoy Ferret incident. Personal fan. It's a good one for me. I like it.
What are you doing? Teaching.
Yeah. That is not a student. Ferret. Yeah. Subjective.
All right, Riley.
Same thing. I love the Malferret. I don't really have anything to add. I just think it was creative, and it's kind of one of those things where I agree with Abby on liking Barty Crouch and questioning herself, because I could see myself malferreting somebody.
I really like the Malferret usage.
Yeah.
I'm
Ew.
it's growing on me.
I kind of relate to him a little bit in that situation where you're just like, if you're dealing with somebody, it's like, what if I could just turn him into a ferret? Like it'd be so easy. So I don't have much to add. It was just a funny moment. I liked it a lot.
Twitchy little ferret, aren't you, Malfoy?
Yeah, that's a great line later on.
All right, Benj, how about you?
So I do have an honorable mention of the trick stare that catches Harry, because screw you, you're not smarter than Neville. But secondly, but most importantly, Priory and Cantatum number 2, where we see, Cedric come back and Frank Bryce and Bertha Jorkins and Harry's mother, then his father come back. And I'm sticking with that. That's the version I know.
Yep.
It's the only one that's the audiobook covers, so that's the one I go off of. But
you said it correctly.
No.
You said it for what it's supposed to be.
that's
Yeah.
the first no.
The first one had the father, then the mother. The audiobook
Which is
does
incorrect.
the mother, then the father, which is
Oh, damn it! I did say it incorrectly. Sorry. Yes, first then his father, then his mother. Sorry, my mistake.
Luke, edit that. Luke, edit it so Benji feels better.
No, it's fine. I would try to be indignated, but I was wrong about it.
But no, I
Well,
agree.
I'm with you because
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
Be
it's
indignant.
yeah. So, but yeah, I love that use of magic because it was completely unintentional magic. Actually, both of those were completely unintentional magics that happened, and I liked that aspect where you can't always control everything.
That whole scene with the Phoenix song, everything.
Yeah.
It's like Riley had mentioned earlier in that chapter, one of the most visually stunning things that I think I can remember reading in these books. So
Hmm.
All right, and then my sort of best use of magic is the golden mist obstacle in the
yes,
Yeah,
maze,
that's a good one.
because it's so different than just using my wand. So I really appreciate the golden mist. I will give a special shout out to Barty Crush Jr.'s prolonged use of Polyjuice Potion, because that, once again, that is commitment. We know that stuff doesn't taste good, so that's a lot of work you put in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of magic, we our official wand usage data report from Pottermore. Wands were used 125 times in this book. The highest wand user was Harry with 33 attempts, 10 of which were failures. So
That's
Nice.
over twice as much as book 3. Book 3 had 57 wand usages.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. Book 2 had 37. I'm assuming book 1 probably had around the same as that. So,
Probably.
yeah. Okay, so we are going to go into, I'll say, the final stretch of our big spectacular spectacle of an episode extravaganza here, the trivia. As always, Melissa has come up with 3 questions, maybe a bonus. I have 3 and can easily find more for bonuses, or if I have copied a question, because I don't know Melissa's questions, she doesn't know my questions. So I only answer hers, she only answers mine. Everyone else answers all of them. So without further ado, everyone have your spreadsheet open. We are going to type into the box. Do not hit enter until everyone has had their chance to put their answers in, so we all see them at the exact same time. Melissa has question number 1.
I do. Can I get a thumbs up? Everybody's in their box and ready. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, here we go. Question number 1. And I would like to point out I have leveled my questions. They increase in difficulty. So this is my level 1 difficulty question. It is worth 3 points. You can get 1 point for each correct answer to this question. Are you ready?
Yes.
No.
In what 3 months were the Triwizard tasks held? Type your answer in, but do not hit enter. In what 3 months were the Triwizard tasks held? And I will take a thumbs up when you are ready. Let me see. 1, 2. I think, Luke, that's a thumb.
Oh, yeah, sorry if I was off to the side.
That's right. I'm waiting for, I think, Lorelei and Riley. When you guys are ready, let me know. Is that a thumb, kiddo? Nope. There's a thumb from Lorelei. Riley, ready? Okay, everybody hit enter. Abby, you ready?
Is she even at her computer?
She may have disappeared.
Not.
She disapparated.
Whoa, she's right here.
She's here.
Wait, okay.
That's amazing.
All right,
All
Abby,
right.
do you have your answer?
Yeah, I have it. Sorry.
Okay. So the correct answers were November, February, and June.
Gee dang. I was off by 1 month on 2 of them.
Yeah. So going through it, I had June, January, November. So I had 2 of them. Riley had November, March, and May. So 1 correct.
Please don't mention mine. We'll just move forward.
Abby got 1 correct.
You got 1, Abby.
Oh, I know.
Ben got all 3 correct. Nice job. And Lorelei got 1 as well. Close.
Why'd you say
June was the only one that I was questioning. I was thinking maybe May, but I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the first weekend of June.
They did the swimming task in February?
Yep. It was frigid.
Yeah. I just
the other side.
And put the months in my reports. I remember,
yeah.
That's
I remember because, at least February 1, because of after the second task, they were. Harry says, February 13th seems a lot closer this side of Christmas than it did.
Yeah.
So that's the one that stuck out to me.
All right. Nice job, everyone. Everyone got at least 1. Good job. Melissa got 0, but that's okay. Technically, she wrote the question, so.
Right.
Not technically. She literally wrote the question.
I literally wrote the question. That's right.
All right. Where'd my questions go? There we go. Question number 1 from me. I will preface mine with, I kind of made them all easy. Hopefully. We'll see. Whose death do we learn about first? The entire book. Thumbs up if you have an answer.
Oh, this.
I lied.
Yep. Okay.
Got 1, 2 thumbs. And a retracted thumb.
Okay, I'm back.
And a 3rd thumb. Whose death do we learn about first? And a 4th thumb. And a 5th. 3, 2, 1, hit enter. So I see Melissa's answer of the 3 riddles, grandparents and father of Voldemort. I didn't put an answer. I've got an answer from Riley of farmer guy who comes back in the wand dance. So that's Frank Bryce. I see this is Abby's answer of the 3 riddles. And Tom Riddle Sr. and parents for Benji. And Lorelei has Bertha Jorgens.
That was my first guess.
Me too.
Too.
Same. I was like that. I'm like, whoa, wait a second.
That's I feel pretty good about that question because there are 3 good answers. You guys nailed it. You hit all 3 completely valid answers. Bertha Jorgens, I thought would be which I think I caught some of you guys with, and you changed your answers. But we originally hear about the 3 riddles in the town before we go in, and Voldemort says that they killed Bertha, and then Frank Bryce dies at the end of it. So seriously, all completely reasonable answers, but 3 points for. We'll just do 1 point because it's the group.
It was like a year ago.
I know. If you would have done any reread, you'd have nailed that.
Yeah. It was this morning. I listened to that chapter.
But yeah, so good job. Yeah. Good job, everybody. Honestly, those are the answers I expected.
I couldn't even remember his name.
Yeah, Frank Bryce. What a guy. Poor Frank is dead.
Farmer guy who comes back in the wand dance.
Oh, I already knew that it was totally off, so I had to come up with some way to describe Prior Incantatum in shorthand.
Guy who goes back in wand dance. That's good.
Fantastic.
All right.
Here's my second question. How much money did Arthur Weasley bet on the Quidditch World Cup? I see 1 thumb.
There's 2.
Maybe 2. How much money did Arthur Weasley bet on the Quidditch World Cup? 3 thumbs. 4. Benji's at a thumb. Yes. Waiting for there. Riley, ready?
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1, enter.
Lorelei.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah.
Luke's answer was 1 galleon. Riley's answer was half the value of a flying car to win his bet. 0. He did not bet. Benji said 5 sickles, and Lorelei said not a lot.
I would have give Lorelei maybe a half point.
True.
Yeah.
I will give Lorelei half point. The correct answer was 1 galleon. So
1 galleon. Yeah. And I was kicking it back. I'm like, I know it wasn't much. It was, and I'm like, I can't remember if it was it actually a full galleon. That was where I was kind of
was.
I'll tell you, it wasn't 37 galleons. and some change. I thought about making
and a
that
rubber
a question.
duck.
Guess what? That's not one of my questions. All right, my question number 2. What was the name of the referee at the Quidditch World Cup?
Are you?
That's the question I thought you were gonna ask.
Melissa, I see a thumb. Okay, 2 thumbs, 3 thumbs. The wand dance. That's a perfect way of describing.
You knew exactly what I was talking
absolutely.
about. Like,
Fantastic.
Oh, I do know this.
4 thumbs. Abby, you did a whole report on it. I had
I
the
know.
crowd cheering behind you, music playing, chanting.
I know I'm not gonna get it. It's fine.
Okay, 3,
as soon as you
2,
say it.
1, go.
That's
I
right,
see
Melissa.
referee number 2 for casting budget reasons. That was Riley's answer.
That's funny.
Nice job on that. Bruce Wenthrop is Abby's answer, which...
What?
Nope.
Oh.
The IDK, upside down smiley face from Lorelei, is also not quite correct. It's close, but not quite there. And I see 2 answers that say Mustafa. And the answer is Hassan Mustafa. I will accept just the last name in this case. That's fine.
Cheers, 'cause I thought it was his first. Honestly.
No, Hassan is his.
I knew the first name started with an H, but I was afraid of getting that wrong, so I only.
If this was a different trivia game, you'd get 0 points, and may God have mercy on your soul. But I will allow it because both of you clearly have correct spelling and you show knowledge in the subject. So I'll accept it.
Cheers.
You forgot the who is.
Oh, who is Mustafa? Hassan Mustafa.
All right, here we go. My third question. Ready? Which book gives instructions for growing nose hair into ringlets?
Oh, good grief. That's an A+ question right there.
Which book gives instructions for growing nose hair into ringlets?
I didn't get that far in my reread today. I know which chapter it occurs in.
I'm very proud of you.
Thanks, Melissa. I feel
You're
better now.
welcome. You should. I don't see any thumbs, by the way.
Totally got it.
So Abby's in.
Done.
Anybody else? Benji's in. Riley's dying and Google searching furiously on his phone.
No, I'm writing my answer.
It's lengthy.
It's a long book title.
Lorelei's in. Luke, you ready? He's still thinking.
No, I got an incorrect answer.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh boy. Lorelei waiting for your enter. All right, here we go. These are the best. Okay, here we go. Luke says, people who love dragons too much.
Just wanted to reference another good title that we've had.
That is incorrect. Riley says, Hagrid's 100 Ways to Get By on a Struggling Teacher's Salary. Also incorrect.
He sells the ringlets. It's passive income.
Passive income. He lives in a hut.
Abby says, deodorant haters of the 20th century. Also incorrect. Benji says, basic use of magic year 4.
That's just a standard.
Like, that's a good guess. Not true. And Lorelei's book says, why would I know that? Like, who reads these Potter books and knows exactly what books they read, especially for like, they just, why? There's no reason to know that. Lorelei has a commentary on my question. She's answering the question, which is also incorrect. So the correct answer is Weird Wizarding Dilemmas.
Should have known.
No points.
Melissa gets a point.
Was that in Back to the Burrow or from Mrs. Weasley?
I was thinking it was in the preparation. Which one?
Task 2.
I was in the preparation when they were in the library looking for ways of breathing underwater.
That's right.
Yep. All right. My question. Let's see. So we have is this actually adding these up at the bottom? Our sum is correct. Okay. So as a recap, Melissa has got 3. I have 3. Riley has 1 point. Abby has 2 points. Benji has 5 points, and Lorelei has 1.5.
Big comeback coming up here.
Okay, so it is achievable. Don't know if it's gonna be doable, but
and I also have a special activity after this too. So the game's still not over even after this question.
there are 4 points available for my question. 4 points total available. So if Benji tanks it, people can catch him. Name the 4 dragon types in task 1. Told you, I went a little bit easier this book because I had so many complaints.
Squeaky wheel gets the oil. Hey, whisper to yourself a little louder.
That was muted.
Hey, whisper to yourself a little louder, please. How many thumbs?
Remember these things.
Got any thumbs?
Yeah.
No thumbs.
Sure.
Got a thumb.
Yeah, I'll give you one, whatever. It's
2
good.
thumbs. 2 thumbs. Way up.
Now
It's
here
more
I am going through.
I can't be caught. I can't think of the 4th, but I can't be caught with the 3. So.
3 thumbs.
This morning I'm trying to go through and remember every single name I can of the townspeople in Little Hangleton, and this is what's going to trip me up.
Oh, you mean like Dot? She was
like
great.
Dot, the cook, like
Yep.
every specific person mentioned, and I'm like,
because I'm sure that they're going to ask me that.
yeah.
I could have
What's
easily
the
have gone with.
Ronsky?
Yeah, I actually that was clearly an easy choice of, hey, name as many professional Quidditch players as you possibly can.
Oh yeah, that was absolutely what I was going to
Oh
do.
yeah,
but
that's why I went with
what
a
was-
single instead.
Yeah. What was the name of the move? I'm like, know how to spell Ronsky faint.
There were 3 different moves. There was the what was the defensive maneuver as well. I can't remember. I can look them up.
All right, how are we doing on thumbs?
Got 1, 2. Looks like all the thumbs are here. Please hit enter now. Okay. Okay, so Lorelei's answer says the one that Harry fought, the one that Cedric Diggory fought, the one that Victor Crumb fought, and the one that the girl fought.
I couldn't think of her name quick enough.
Oh, Abby's answer is Hungarian Horntail, comma, the. I'll give you a point. You get a point. I'm doing Riley's last. Benji's answer says Hungarian Horntail, Chinese's Fireball, Norwegian Ridgeback, Welsh Green.
God, I knew that.
So Melissa's answer says Hungarian Horntail, Chinese Fireball, Swedish Short Snout. And Riley's answer says Drogon, Viserion, Rhaegal, and the Hungarian Horntail. Riley gets a point. Melissa gets 3 points. Benji gets 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, was it Valerian the Dread? Was
Is
that
it-
wrong?
Yeah,
it-
the Black
Was
Dread.
the Norwegian Ridgeback, was that
But-
Norbert?
Valerian.
Norwegian,
was
yes, that was Norbert.
Isn't that a dog?
Norbert was the Norwegian Ridgeback. That's the one.
Rhodesian
Okay.
Ridgeback is a dog.
There we go. That's why I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's a dog. No.
So-
Hey, I'm glad I pulled up Welsh Green. That's the one that I was blanking on until the very end.
Okay, so I have a bonus round.
'Kay.
The bonus round is only available for the person in last place.
Oh,
which is Lorelei.
Oh no! What did I try?
Why did I try?
So here's
How
how
about-
this game
can both of them answer?
No,
No.
Okay.
She's got it.
here's what happens.
No, I don't. Okay.
Riley
Oh, that I remember. That's right.
will get a question. There are many possible answers, and she gets 1 point for every correct answer. If she gets all the correct answers, then she will beat Benji and she wins the game. If she doesn't get all the correct answers, then the play goes to the next lowest player, which is Riley, and he can take the answers and add to them to get all the possible correct answers. And if
Family
he gets them
Feud.
all, then he beats Benji. See how this works?
This is
And then
fun.
Abby, you would be next. So there are 3 chances for Benji to lose. So Benji, you better hope they don't get it.
Protest.
And there's against it. But if nobody gets all of the correct answers, then Benji wins. Good?
Can Benji have a shot to answer the rest of them and up his score?
No,
Nope.
Well, I mean, like if it
that's
gets
not
to me.
fair.
Here you go. All right, you ready, Lorelei?
No.
I am also not telling you how many possible answers there are.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Sure.
Here's your question. Name all of the Death Eaters who were in the graveyard with Voldemort.
Crab and Goyle. I know those two because I thought they were the kids that were in Hogwarts. Draco Malfoy. No, not Draco. No, Draco Malfoy's dad. That's what I meant. What's your name? that one wolf guy. I don't know his name. I don't know. That's all I can think of.
All right. You have received 2 points for correct names. That is not all of the correct answers. Play moves to Riley.
Okay, wait.
So you can re-answer the same ones that she answered?
Yes.
Okay, so Lucius Malfoy, Crabbe and Goyle's their fathers. Somebody named Prong, Prong. No, I thought that was a name. I want to say the Lestranges didn't show up, so they were not there. Yeah, that's all I can remember, the obvious ones.
Okay. You have 3 points. That is not all of the possible answers, and you have not beaten Benji's score. Abby, play moves to you.
Crabbe, Goyle, Lucius Malfoy, Wormtail.
Oh, stupid.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I knew that would be the trick one.
A bone from a father. No. And you know that one guy.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. That one guy and that other guy. I know
The
that.
ones with the black cloaks and the masks.
The things on their arms. 2 more seconds and then I'll give up. Crabbe, Goyle. Where were you? McNair?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I'm gonna stop.
Okay. You are now tied with Benji, which then leads me to Benj. She is missing some. If
I don't
you
get a chance.
No, you don't
No.
get a chance.
No,
You don't-
you don't deserve to get a chance.
That's 'cause I'll
Sorry. Sorry.
That's how life
Which
works.
means if
Not,
Benji can answer the missing ones, then
not an Avery.
that's it. Yep. There were 7 Death Eaters named.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just happy I pulled McNair out. You can win.
McNair, I was
Like,
impressed
that was
with
good.
that.
Like,
And
That was good. I'm also really impressed that you got Wormtail.
Yeah.
oh, well done.
I knew that would be the trick to miss, because
Yep.
he's easily forgotten in that ring.
Well, he's Wormtail, duh.
He's easily forgettable.
Yep. All right, nice job. Nice job, everybody.
I like the extra question to give people the chance, but Benji still
I don't like
out.
that.
Okay.
Hey, I liked it.
I wouldn't have gotten Crabbe and Goyle without
I'm
you,
just glad,
honestly.
again. I'm glad you literally picked a question from my favorite chapter in the entire series.
You're
so.
welcome. I'm here to help. All right. We're going to... Ready, Luke?
Yep.
Let's jump to our next section. This is the book rankings thus far, where you rank the series in order from best to worst. Not that there's really a bad book, but your favorites to least favorites so far. And I'm going to start... I'm just going to go down the list from right to left. Let's start with Lorelei.
Oh, 3, 4, 1, and 2.
Any particular reasons for those?
2 is the worst because I hate the dark arts teacher with all my gut and all my, with everything in my power. I hate him.
Let me just point out that this is a really good opportunity to talk about someone we haven't in a while, Luke. Smarty Luke Hart.
Oh, yeah. Lorelei, watch your mouth.
Okay, here's another one.
All right, any other thoughts behind that there, Lorelei?
3 is my all-time favorite so far, hands down. 3 is just I love Sirius Black. I love him.
Okay.
In my
All right.
family.
Benj, you're next.
Yeah, so my rankings go 4, 2, 3, 1.
Great
4,
soccer formation.
yeah, 4 was it stood out for a long time as my favorite book. I love the cliffhanger ending of the oh my god, what's going to happen now? And then on top of it, it was the longest wait for a book that we had to wait for, so it became listening to that one. I had the audiobook for that. So yeah, 4 is hands down probably my favorite book in the series, or it was for a long time. And with just the second book, I like the story with it. 3rd, it's a bit overplayed. And 1 is just, it's a good beginning. It's not the worst book in the world, but it's of the series, it's the weakest.
All right. Abby.
Mine goes 4, 3, 1, 2. I love book 4. I love book 3. I love book 1. I've come around on book 2, but they're all great books, so I had to put them in order.
Okay. Riley.
I decided to go and base my rankings off of wand usage stats. So it's 4, 3, 2, and then 1. More wand usages means more chances that somebody's gonna die.
We love that.
So, I mean, I think that's
held true.
Yeah, I mean, the more they're used. No, I think I just think the writing gets better. Every book it seems like, and one's garbage. So if that ever changes, I'll be very surprised as that being the last one. But I don't know. I think they're getting better, and the story's getting darker, which kind of I like, and kind of has truth to that more wand usage. So we'll see.
Okay. All right, Luke.
I'm going to go ahead and follow Riley's example here. Go 4, 3, 2, 1. I think they've consistently gotten better writing style-wise and just story cohesiveness. Everything gets tidier and neater as she's gotten just more experience in writing these books and more familiar with the characters. And then this book, the thing I really like about it is she was given the chance of just expanding it, making it twice as long as any of the other books, pretty much. And it holds to itself really well. It doesn't feel like, wow, this is just bloated and there's a lot of stuff that you can cut out. I mean, there's, like we talked about for least favorite chapters, there are a couple things that you can maybe lump into other chapters, but it's not like you can really do without them. Maybe chapter 2, that's the only one, but I'll just give you a hint that kind of stops happening after this book. It's a lot more subtle, at least. But I think the story is pretty strong in 4. The characters are incredible in 4. The Barty Crouch reveal is, like I said, that whole chapter 30 through the end of the book is such a pinnacle in Harry Potter. I mean, it's literally like the midpoint, and it's when Voldemort returns. It's things get huge real quick. We get politics involved with Fudge, and just this huge societal issue now. It's not just kids at Hogwarts anymore. Which we had a bit of that in book 3 too, which I really like, of, things are getting more adult, and there's literally adults involved too. So I think 2 is better than 1 for reasons that we've talked about before, of just kind of the same thing. Book 1's a lot more choppy. It's fun. It's easy reading. Book 2 is a little bit more cohesive. Book 3 is a little bit more fun than 2. But I think so far book 4 is the best.
Okay. And then my rankings go 3, 4, 2, 1. Book 3 has like a place near and dear to my heart as just one of my favorite stories. I love the Time Turner story. I like Hermione's growth in that story a lot. So book 3 is just, it's something that I hold on to, even though I really enjoyed book 4. I will say that my 2 and 1 switched even since last book. Last book, I went 3, 1, 2, and I put 1 ahead of book 2. And after this book, I've moved 2 up because the ties to the story of book 2 keep getting stronger and stronger. There's just themes that are showing up from book 2 that are woven with throughout the rest of the story that's better than the stuff that you see from book 1 left over. So I think book 2 has a better through line throughout the rest of the series.
A lasting presence.
Yes. So I'm book 2 keeps growing and growing and on me, so I had to move it up just a little bit, which means something had to be last, and it was book 1. Mostly because of the Norbert the Norwegian Ridgeback chapter, which was completely pointless. So.
And Hagrid was garbage. Classic say something controversial where Abby is muted and away from her computer so she can't defend it, and play some music really loud over it. So let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. Final thoughts on book 4 overall. Riley, our first time reader, you again are familiar with the movies, first time actually reading. This is a bit of a, which we'll talk more about the movie, but like for final thoughts, what stands out to you most in this book? Like
Barty Crouch Jr. Yeah. I think growing up, like watching the movies and everything, I understood what was going on, but I never really got that character as the bad guy at all, like at any other instance of coming across this story or this part of the story. So I just think that was the biggest, I guess, reveal, or just me realizing that I'm not paying attention enough. But like, I thought it was just really interesting for that character to be so well woven in and thought out and planned, and from the beginning of the story. I think that was the best part for me. And just how everything's just kind of, Voldemort's back, so story should take a completely different shift from this point on. In my expectations, it should take a big shift. So I'm excited to see where that goes and see how this all plays out.
Abby, how about you? What are your final thoughts after going through book 4 like this?
So some of my final thoughts is I've decided and this is kind of crushing, revealing here. I take issue with the sports in the wizarding world. I take issue with a team sport that doesn't really need a team. I mean, so that's what it is. There's a lot of put on. It's worse than like the pitcher in baseball. But beyond Quidditch, having a tournament where nobody can prepare, like I think as a sport or athlete, and again, it's a tournament, this is their thing, but having some preparation, like putting in your time is a big deal. And these kids are just kind of like thrown in there. They're not even supposed to know what these tasks are. And hey, good luck, survive.
Hey, just generally be okay with the surprise, which is the difficult thing.
Right.
Just don't die.
Go fight a dragon now. There's no preparation. That's not fair. And they all kind of cheated and everybody ended up knowing it was a dragon, at least at first. So that's cool. My other thought, as I was listening through today, as fast as my ears could like absorb the information, I forgot how the characters are 14, and we start, and maybe not start, but it really hit me how much the boys. Well, we don't want to go to the dance with some trolls. We better ask them now. Look at her teeth, her bushy hair, the Vila. I feel like a lot of that happens for girls where they start maybe questioning themselves at 14, and I'm sitting there listening to it today, slightly like, God, you guys are a bunch of jerks. Like, characters I like. So I like that there's a real human element brought in, and maybe not all guys are jerks, but just being conscious of, it really sucks to hear that stuff at 14. And, you can save your best friend's lives like 4, 5, 6 times at this point, but you still don't get asked to the dance. That sucks. Sorry. Not in the he-girl man-hater club. Just something I noticed today.
The he-man woman hater club.
I couldn't say that. I had to do it the other way.
All right, Benji, what are your final thoughts on book 4?
So, final thoughts, as I said, this is my favorite book of the series. I love how J.K. takes it, as Abby actually was pointing out, with the Yule Ball. It's a standout kind of, the unforeseen task is a underrated chapter, because any boy at the age of 14 years old knows how hard it is to just get the guts to go ask a girl out. It's just, who you want to ask, and you just can't do it. And then you finally do it and you get shot down. It's like, oh, it sucks. And the way it's written, it's just so well done. The whole emotional aspect of the whole storyline to the book, too. This is where J.K. really starts getting into the teenage mentality of the story. Book 1, it was way too adult. Like, they were doing way too more advanced stuff than they should have been doing at 11 years old. 14, they're doing exactly what 14-year-olds would be doing, and 14-year-olds are kind of pains in the butts.
Hey, you got one here.
I was just about to say, sorry, Lorelei. They can sometimes be pains in the butts, and that's what you're getting. And it's well written from that child aspect, but not quite a child. It's a teenager. It's young adult kind of thing, and it's just so well done and everything. And on top of it, you have a great story, a great twist that you don't really see coming, and everything. So it's, to me, like I said, it stands out above, head and shoulders above the rest of them so far, at least.
All right, and over to our resident pain in the butt, Lorelei. No, our resident target audience perspective. So, what are your overall thoughts after going through Goblet of Fire the way we did?
Okay, so people, we need to forgot the word that I was going to say. I had it all planned out, but now I forgot it. Great. Voldemort's back, people. Voldemort's back. We're freaking out here. But people don't, I think it's stupid that the people don't know. I think it's dumb that Fudge doesn't tell the people. And they need to be informed for their lives. Freaking their lives. And that makes me mad. But I like the Yule Ball because I can relate to it very much. Being in that age. That's all I have to say.
My overall final thoughts are pretty similar to what you guys have been saying. It feels very real. It feels very accurate for the age group that these kids are in. When Harry and Ron have their spat, I love it. It's frustrating, right? We're sitting here following Harry around and we're like, Ron, get your head out of your butt. Like, come on, like, just realize that your best friend isn't lying to you. But like, again, from Ron's perspective, he's completely true. Like, it makes sense too. Like, I can see where he's coming from. It's not very fun to read at the time, but when you sit back and actually give Ron a chance, he's not like a bad guy. He just has this one similar to what we see at the end with Fudge. It's one assumption that's incorrect and colors the whole thing. And I think it's eye-opening for Harry to see his perspective on that, and the humanity that Harry kind of starts learning, and the asking girls out stuff. Like, yeah, it's all really well done. The big twist is really well done. It's hard not to fall in love with Moody throughout the whole book, and then you find out, yeah, no, he was like legit kind of the bad guy. Not like kind of, he was. he was actually the bad guy, but it's not him. It's a fake imposter version of him, which is even like, it's like a double spill on you. And the magic in it is being elevated with the whole Priori Incantatem chapter, the Veritaserum, and which came in last book, but it was reused here. And the Pensive was really interesting magic that we get to see for the first time. But as usual, like I just think it's really special that we can all sit here, talk about this book, and just have our family thoughts about it. And to me, that's the most special thing that we get to do for these. So thanks for being here, guys. Melissa, what are your final thoughts?
You have in your hands the pivotal fourth novel in the 7-part tale of Harry Potter's training as a wizard and his coming of age. That is the best description of this book because it is pivotal. This is where the story changes. This is where it goes from being just a kid who has, like a plucky kid who has some bad luck and something bad happens to him at the end of each year and he makes it through, to actually having real world, like, big consequences, and the bad guy's really back, and it's going to arch over more than just a single book. It's a big world problem. And I just like the turn the series makes because of this book.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that kind of wraps us up. Melissa, I want to tell people where they can find us.
You can find us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Not Named Podcast. You can send us your digital owls at notnamedpodcast@gmail.com. You can find this show and all of our shows on our website, thepodcastthat.com.
Be sure to subscribe to our show on iTunes, and don't forget to also go to the Podcast That Family of Podcasts YouTube page, where you can find all of our shows as well. Subscribe there. All future live streams for this show and almost all of our other shows will happen on that channel. So be sure, if you haven't done it yet, go to the Podcast That Family of Podcasts channel on YouTube. We do have a bunch of other shows that are really exciting, including Drinks and Those Things, which is our Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire podcast, which we finished the show. We've got a lot of other exciting projects coming up, including Gertie's Revenge, which is our first time watcher's second watch. Now her watch begins again. Abby's going to go through and have a little bit of a director commentary on some of our old episodes, and have, now that she has all the information that we didn't, even while watching along with her, give us a hard time where we made big mistakes. So that's going to be a lot of fun, along with the addition of a Game of Ice and Fire, which is a role-playing tabletop game that Riley and myself did with a couple of our friends. We created characters, played this whole story of a family. It was a lot of fun. So that's coming up. Ben, why don't you tell us a little bit what Floats Down Here is up to?
Yeah, so Floats Down Here, we're getting close to the end of our recap of Stephen King's It. We have a few more chapters to go, including recaps of the movies, for the miniseries, the first movie that came out a couple years ago, and the new movie releasing this Friday, actually, well, depending on this time of release, but releasing on September 6th, we'll be doing recaps of all those. And then come in the future, we have a plan for a Stephen King book club where we will go month by month, and we will kind of all speed read the books, get full, myself and Luke for a lot of these, because Melissa, our expert, went through and picked out a selection what to do each month. So we'll be doing those kind of speed reads, and then you get our first time reactions, our thoughts and everything, breakdowns, and kind of go from there, but possibly having guests on or anything like that, just opening up the Stephen King universe a bit.
Absolutely. And so that's going to be a monthly book club. We have another monthly book club that's coming up that's going to start every other 2 weeks, kind of offsetting each other, called The Podcast That Gets Lit. That's going to be me and our good friend of the show, Bailey Riddle, doing full book reviews of different fantasy stories. And again, for that, we may have guests here and there as well, so keep out for that, and check them out at Gets Lit on Twitter. Abby, can you tell us a little bit about Fights and F Words?
Sure. It is an Outlander podcast. It covers the Stars series Outlander. Right now we are still in season 1 and we'll be finished with that. Go through season 2 and be up to date with you before season 4 airs next year. I enjoy Outlander. You can check it out on Amazon Prime with the Stars app or have Stars. I don't know. But it's very, very good.
So obviously we have a lot of shows going on. Again, check out the podcast that on YouTube or check out our website to see all of the audio individually where you can make sure you're not missing any of the shows as they come out. Am I missing any shows? I think we've got other things in the work for future ideas, pre-production, but we'll just tease with that for now. Abby, the next box is highlighted for you.
Thank you. Be sure to join us on September 22nd for our
autumnal.
Thank you. Cut, screen, action, go. I don't really know how they do it in the movies. Anyways, be sure to join us on September 22nd for our autumnal State of the Union Legion address. We will be streaming live on the Podcast That YouTube channel. Tune in to see who wins the first Primus Pilus giveaway exclusively for our Patreon members. Not a patron? Join the Imaginary Legion between now and September 21st, and you could have one or more entries into the giveaway. You can find out more at patreon.com/stayimaginary.
We will be back in just a few weeks with our movie episode.
Woo!
Until then,
stay imaginary.
Thanks.
The abdominal state of the legion. It's just a bunch of dying doctors hanging out.